Welcome to Betting Weekly Premier League show. You're with Dan Roebuck alongside me, Nigel Seeley and Jack Wright. Nigel, did we have a bit of a sliding doors moment at the weekend? Larsson's goal gets chalked off for offside for Wolves against Villa. Is this Betting Weekly Premier League show for this season's Mark Robins moment? That's what I want to know.
Well, if anybody remember Mark Robins apart from us three and watches this show, I'll be amazed. They're thinking, what the hell's the Stoke manager done to justify mention on this show? They won't even remember that he played for Manchester United back in the day. I hope so. We haven't had much luck on the show, so I hope so. We can get a little bit, but by little small things, then build big small stones, big mountains. So is that what it is? It's something like that.
Yeah, something like that. Close enough.
So you know what I mean. I'm hoping that we can build and that the momentum can grow. We can get some winners, and hopefully. This could be a little bit of run just for Christmas that we need. So a good winning weekend, we'll take it. However small it was, we'll take it. But it should have been more. We should have made more money last week.
Look, good example, Jack, of what you did with that laddering that we couldn't do before. Our own restrictions, I know. But these are the type of plays that you would do yourself, and you stake it properly, and you can come out with a level bet or a little bit of a win depending on prices and so on.
Yeah, I say it's all preference and personal taste, isn't it? I tend to like to play those bets so that entry level gets you a free swing at the higher lines. And I must admit, I was sat there watching Norwich City beating Queen's Park Rangers 3-1 at half time.
You said you weren't going to mention that. You said you weren't going to mention it.
Damn. I can't believe that slipped out. Thinking, well, City 2-0 up. We were both in absolute pole position for that, weren't we? With the goals and the Asian handicap, we're looking good. Thought they'd go and kick on into the second half. So it wasn't to be. And I said that late goal for Foden at least got me sort of where I said that entry point. But perfect example of what we can do, the flexibility we've got now.
Yeah, P&L on screen from the boys. It is moving in the right direction. Speaking of Manchester City, we are going to kick off with their game against Fulham on Tuesday, 2:30 Eastern. And Nigel, it might have been a pivotal weekend in the Premier League. City winning late on. I know they weren't convincing, but they're now just 5 points behind Arsenal, who drew with Chelsea. They're plus 300 for the title. I mean, when the dust settles, that could be a massive late goal against Leeds, couldn't it?
Yeah, it could be. Throwback to late goals. We're going to go through a Steve Bruce moment rather than Mark Robins moment. But I mean, I don't think it is. I think Arsenal will be happy with what they've done in recent matches. Some big matches will come on to their game a little bit later on. But Man City have got to improve on the performances. And the good thing for Manchester City, and the good thing for Man City bettors, and there's a few of them on the outright market, is that they're scoring goals without Haaland, which is good. I mean, Haaland is going through a bit of a drought at the moment by his standards. 3 games without a goal. He's only ever gone 4 games without a goal 3 times in his whole career. Do you know, there's 4 times he's ever gone without in his whole career. And the longest he's ever gone without a goal is 5 consecutive matches. So he's due one here, and he's up against a Fulham side that Man City usually do very well against. Fulham are obviously on the back of back-to-back wins for the first time in this season since September. A 1-0 home success against Sunderland and a win against Tottenham, who are absolutely in freefall at the moment. So how much should they got against this Man City side? I don't know. I think Man City will like to play them. They do like to play them. In the last 19 matches against Fulham, Man City have scored at least 2 goals, which is quite an astounding stat. They've scored in 23 of their 24. They've scored in the last 34 matches against them. And in 24 matches, the last 24 matches, they've scored at least 2 in 23 of them against Fulham. So they always seem to score. I remember watching one of their early games in the season when they come into the Premier League, when they had lots of money and they won here 5-1. It was an incredible match. And just the way that Fulham play, they seem to just like the way they are. They take the game to them and Man City can open them up. Where do we go here? I just think that I'm looking at City goals. I'm talking about the ladders, what we did last week with City. I like City over 1.5 goals. It's only minus 155 though. Perhaps maybe 2.5, which is plus bigger than 2-1. But I just think that Man City will score. There is a chance that Fulham score because this fixture always seems to produce both teams to score. But they've won their last 7 in this fixture. They're unbeaten in their last 13. Haaland's played 6 against Fulham and he's scored 6. I think Man City win. I think they cover that trend of 2 goals in the match. But it's up to you whether you want to go a little bit higher, a little bit more adventurous and go over 2.5 or go with the over 1.5 and play it safe at -155 on just City goals. But expect City to win in a high-scoring match.
Yeah, City are short price favourites, -162. When they've been minus money away from home this season, that's 4 times they've won twice. So obviously you've not been making money. Same with last season, 50% strike rate, which means, of course, you're not making cash. So maybe buyer beware. And I like the fact that Nigel's moved away from sort of money line and looked at the goals. Jack, you've moved away and headed to the prop markets for just a lean on this one from a player that looks like he's finding his form again.
Yeah, exactly. I was kind of tempted with Fulham, given the prices that you're then talking about. And they've been strong at home this season, haven't they? But that record against Manchester City, where they've lost the last 18 meetings, is ridiculous. And City have been decent as well in London in the last few games as well. Last 14 games, they won 9 of those. The only defeat coming against Arsenal, heavily, admittedly, last season. But Fulham aren't no Arsenal. And talking of Arsenal, I thought they were really tepid against Arsenal this season. That's their only defeat at home. So I kind of gone with a City angle of attack. And yeah, the player I have gone for is Phil Foden. I think he's desperate to kind of certainly make the squad for the World Cup. I think he will do. But I think he's trying to really put his marker down that he can actually force his way into that starting 11 or certainly be in the argument for those players. So looking at the prices, they have switched a little bit overnight. But last night when I was putting it together, Haaland, understandably, -210 to score or assist. Savio is +125, Marmoush +140. Raul Jimenez was actually a shorter price than Phil Foden, which really surprised me. But he stayed the same, +140 to score or assist. I think that's a really decent price. 2 goals, obviously, at the weekend, including that winner. Took him a minute to get on the score sheet, and then at the other end of the game, which is a good sign in itself that he's firing at, say, quick out of the blocks and also got the fitness and ability to keep going right to the end. 4 goals, 2 assists in his last 8 appearances for club and country. So at +140, I think there's a little bit of value to be had there to score or assist.
-400 to make the England squad. Nigel, would you have him on the plane to North America next summer? Is he a gimme? Is he a certainty?
I think it's an absolute certainty. The problem is that how can we fit him into the starting 11? Because he's an absolute talent. I mean, 3 years ago, he was the boy that everybody was going to talk about. The songs were sung about him in the last German. In Germany, he was on fire, but he wasn't on fire. Phil Foden wasn't on fire in that tournament. I think he's a certainty to be in the squad. If you want to win World Cups, you need those kind of players to come off the bench if they're not starting Eze's and that. And that's where England have got the strength in depth.
Yeah, -200 Rodgers to make the play. Seems a little bit of an anomaly, doesn't it?
World Cup draw next Friday, by the way, Dan. Live show. Remember that?
Yes, we will find out potentially who are England going to play, but there's some either-ors as well, isn't there? Anyway,
got a big decision to make whether I spend $2,800 to go and watch England play Haiti in Miami. Do I fancy it or not? Difficult one.
Yeah, I'd say I'd back you to be there. Put it that way. Bournemouth Everton. Let's get a quick lean on this one. This is Tuesday, 2:30. Bournemouth +112. 112. Nigel, without a winning 4 and 3 losses in that sequence, but all the defeats are at home, are away, and they're good at home. But I don't know. I've got a question mark against them at the minute. What are your thoughts on this one, briefly?
Yeah, I think we touched on it the other week that Semenyu's obviously been linked with the move to Liverpool, and ever since that link has come, their form hasn't been that great. The way they lost against Sunderland, steaming into that 2-0 in the crazy match and losing 3-2, but that's the credit to Sunderland, their home form. As you say, brilliant at home, 6 matches this season, unbeaten at home, and they've got a good record against Everton as well. They played them 3 times last season, won all 3 of those matches. They've won 8 of their last 10 against Everton, and they haven't lost any of those matches. Well, I think they might have lost 1, actually. But this is a bogey match for Everton, and Everton have to bounce back from a terrible, terrible performance against Newcastle. Lots of goals in these previous matches, though. Both teams have scored in 6 of the last 8 of Bournemouth's matches, and I like both teams to score here, which is -130. But if pushed, I'll be going for Bournemouth on the money line, despite their poor form. Generally, their home form is solid, and at +112, they would be my lean.
Tempted by just over even money, the Cherries, Jack?
Very tempted, yeah. It was close. I can't pull the trigger on them at the moment because of that poor recent form. But I say it has all been away from home where they've been really bad, haven't they? I say I'm being at home. The stats both you two have then reeled out are on my list to mention, so I won't go over them again. This was Sean Dyche's last game in charge of Everton last season, and Bournemouth won that one 1-0, and they were -143 for that game. So a massive, massive swing as far as that. So I do think there is some value in Bournemouth. And I think they might have been given a little bit of underrated purely based on their current form. But as we said, a lot of it away from home. Very strong at home. Very good record against Everton as well. So that is my lean. Bournemouth to win at +112. I think a little bit of juice in that price.
Yeah, certainly considering what the price was last season, that's a really good comparison. Let's get some official plays for the midweek card, shall we? Jack, you're first up with Newcastle Tottenham, which is Tuesday. It's the latest start at 3:15 Eastern. Newcastle are -141. Their form, all competitions running into this, one lost, one lost, one lost, one. Does that inconsistency lend itself to betting them at minus money, or shall we steer clear, Jack?
I'm going with Newcastle, yeah. -1 Asian handicap, +123. You can take lesser lines than that. I think the line officially set on BetRivers app there is the -0.75 Asian handicap. Again, we talked about how we tend to like to bet. In that scenario, I like to have a free swing by going, right, we'll go -1. I need them to win by 2 or more. I'd rather have a full win at bigger odds plus money than potentially a little half win. So a unit on this one, official. And there's a massive win for them on Saturday, wasn't it? Not just in terms of scoreline, but finally getting that monkey off their back away from home. A really important win. And also to go to Everton to do it, who are strong at home, even in their new home. That was a real signal of intent about them. Scoring goals as well. Voltamada on the score sheet again. I spoke to our newsletter editor, Paul Hitman Hughes, today just to get a sense check on Newcastle, and he was thrilled about that away performance. Sung the praises of Malik Chow, who obviously hit the headlines with his 2 goals as well. It's not what he's in the side for, but they'll take it, of course. But the player that really caught my eye was Tino Livramento. I thought, again, another player we're talking about. The East England squad can fit in superbly well into that England setup. And I thought that kind of hybrid role that is the modern day fullback suited him superbly. Very, very good going forward, but did his day job well. Pocketed Jack Grealish, kept him very, very quiet. But was a constant threat as they go in the other way. So lots to like about that Newcastle performance, and we know how strong they are at home as well. So that's where I'm going with it. Back-to-back wins now for them in the league after that defeat of Manchester City at home. They've now won 3 on the spin at home as well. We know they're superb there. 13 wins in the last 18 league home games. That's 72%. It's a great strike rate. It's one of the best in the division. And Spurs look a shambles, don't they? They were a terrible start against Fulham. 1 win in the last 6 in the league. 3 straight defeats in all competitions. And shipping 11 goals, I think, is the real problem. When you go to Newcastle, you know you're going to be up against the pump with all the players that they've got, the attacking threat they've got. And then now sliding down the table to where the underlying data has suggested they should be. Like underlying data, or use it a lot or not a lot. It was how we said that their performances were not what the points were showing. 15th in the expected points table. They're now down to 12th. I think a Newcastle win here will see them kind of be in that position we expect them to be. Not great in midweek. There's lots of stats, and I think when you look at the fact that they've only won one of the last 13 midweek games, when you go into Newcastle, it's a long trip. It's a tough place to go. I think you can read into that and actually use that as evidence. And Newcastle exceptionally strong at home in midweek because of the fact that the players that go in there, or teams that go in there, 1-7, drawn 3 of the last 10. Last time they were beaten at midweek at home was in 2021. So for me, Newcastle strong against Spurs as well. 3 meetings, and they've won the last 3 of those, 4 of the last 6, and the last 3 here, and convincingly. 2-1, 4-0, and 6-1. So -1 Asian handicap, Newcastle win.
+123 at the minute. Livramento, incidentally, evens to make the squad. I don't know why we've gone down this England squad route, but he's evens. Seems like a big price, doesn't it? As long as he stays fit, of course. Nigel, this is the first part of an official parlay that you're going to put up here. This is a brave new world, and Mr. Seeley is going to put a couple of teams together here that he likes on the midweek slate. Is it Newcastle? Is it Spurs with a handicap? Is it an overs-unders? What you got for the first leg?
No, it's the Newcastle home team here. -137 is the first part of my part. I think if you like betting bigger, you want to put Newcastle on the money line at -137. I wouldn't put you off that at all. As Jack's made a very, very good case for them there. I wanted to, I'm looking at maybe doing 2 points on 2 teams, but I thought it's probably best to keep them powder dry and just have a 1 unit double, which gets a nice price. So, and obviously, if one of them lost at -137, the other one won, we'd be negative. And this way, we can still we'd lose on the 1 unit, but we still got our other official picks as well to get us out of trouble. So, I've gone for that reason why. Pretty much the same as Jack said there. I mean, the interesting thing from a betting perspective of Tottenham is that Tottenham, their rating now. We do the Premier League ratings on the Insider, and their rating has dropped now so quickly down to the levels of like Nottingham Forest, Everton. They're even like lower than Fulham now. Fulham, Tottenham started on Saturday night at plus 140 at home to beat Fulham. Now that means Fulham are better than on a rating on a neutral pitch, which is incredible how far they've gone. I think there's a huge negative towards the manager. We talked about him coming in and might be doing a good job. The market doesn't like him. You know, the Tottenham fans don't like him. I know he's dealt his hand with some terrible injuries, but I think after the Chelsea match, when they put him on an awful performance, and Van der Ven and Spence didn't speak to him, didn't acknowledge him, that was the warning sign. Every week they're negatives on the betting. Every single week they're drifting like a barge. They're falling down the table like a stone. It's a very carbon copy of what they did last year. His job's being secure because they're in Champions League football rather than doing anything on the league. I think if you look at managers under pressure, Thomas Frank is absolutely under huge pressure. And next week he goes to Brentford, which is going to his former club, which is incredible. If you look, just one thing to add to Jack's, obviously Newcastle have such a good record at home. We know how strong they are. One of the best teams, free scoring as well. They would have beat Tottenham this season in the League Cup 2-0, with prior to all these problems that Tottenham have been having, and probably prior to a little bit of form that Newcastle have had. St James's in this match, the last 6 matches against Tottenham, they've scored 14 goals in this fixture. I think this is a really, really bad Tottenham team with the manager absolutely out of his depth. Players not playing for him, players not interested in him. Players missing, huge players missing, and we're coming to the season where you need your squad members there, and it doesn't look good for Tottenham, and it's literally copy and paste from last year, and I expect Newcastle to win this. I'm surprised they're only minus 137, but I'm putting them in the double. Newcastle is my first leg of my weekend, or midweek, double.
First leg on Tuesday, 3:15. The second leg comes up on a Wednesday match. Leeds against Chelsea. This is a slightly later kick-off, 3:15 Eastern, but we'll deal with it first because it's the second leg of Nigel's parlay here. Chelsea minus 141 last I looked. Leeds plus 360. Draw plus 295. No Caicedo, obviously, after his red card against Arsenal. Nigel, was a bit of a battle between Chelsea and Arsenal at Stamford Bridge, reminiscent of those 1970s and the FA Cup replay at Old Trafford when they were kicking lumps out of each other. Leeds against Chelsea, that was. What do we think here then? Second leg of the double. Is it money line? Is it overs, unders? What have we got for the second leg on Wednesday?
Well, I was really impressed with Chelsea at the weekend against Arsenal. I thought they were exceptional. Down to 10 men, took the lead against a team that's the best team in the world right now, and they're a young side, and I think that was a real big performance. I've been impressed with Chelsea all season, and I've got them very high on my rankings at the moment, and I think at big prices they could be a team to follow in the Champions League. I really do. I think that they're being underrated a little bit here. I'm not at all convinced by Leeds' second half performance against Manchester City. That match should have been put to bed 3 or 4 by half time, and they had a spirited comeback, but then the deflation by conceding the goal at the last minute is something they've got to learn with here. We talk about Leeds at home and think, yeah, they're okay, but when they play the bigger teams, that they come second best here. If you look at their record, they haven't really played many teams, big teams, but they've got Newcastle at home. They got a draw against Newcastle. They got a draw against Bournemouth. Tottenham and Villa both went to Leeds and won. They've been picking up points at home against bottom sides. Their home form isn't anywhere near as good as like your Burnleys and your Sunderlands and your other teams at the bottom. They've been losing. They've been winning against who you would expect them to win and losing against the teams you wouldn't expect them to. Losing against the teams you would expect them to lose against. Chelsea just no defeat in 7, just 1 loss in 12 since that, which was that shock home defeat against Sunderland. Since then, they seem to be galvanised and better. In Estevao, they've got one of the best young players in the world. Cole Palmer looks like he could be back for this match as well, which is absolutely huge for them. And you look at teams this season who they've gone to away from home in or around Leeds' position. They've gone to Burnley 1-2-0, went to West Ham 1-5-1, went to Forest and 1-3-0. I think Chelsea are on the up here, and I think they're not far off Man City in second spot in the rating in the Premier League. And I think they go in and win. Money line minus 134. Put it in a double with Newcastle. It plays bigger than 2-1, plus 205. That'll do for me.
Yeah, that will be popular with many for sure. Chelsea, you mentioned those games against Burnley and Forest. Caicedo didn't start any of those two either, and they still won, so it might not be the miss that maybe some bettors think it might be. Jack, you got a lean for us in this one. What do you think, Leeds Chelsea?
Yeah, same process really. I fancy Chelsea in this one. I've gone for their team total over 1.5 Chelsea goals. Minus 124 is my way into it. for those reasons. I think it's been considered to be the worst result for Leeds, wasn't it? The fact it was a gallant defeat, and they said that it was kind of reminiscent of the Jesse Marsh Anfield Liverpool performance. Stay of execution for Daniel Farke. This one might be his last game if Chelsea can turn up like we expect them to. What I like about Chelsea is they've got so much options as far as their forward play is concerned. You've got the battering ram come back in Delap. You've got the technical ability. There's like João Pedro Neto, Esteval. We've talked about Cole Palmer coming back. Obviously, he was on the bench, so he'll get some minutes, I reckon, in this one. And Enzo Fernandez has been good in that more advanced role. So they've got so much threat. And Leeds can see goals. 2 or more goals conceded in their last 4, 6 of the last 7 as well. Chelsea scored 2 or more in 4 of their last 6 on the road. And one of the ones they didn't score 2 in, they scored 1, was when they were reduced to 10 men against Manchester United after about 4 minutes, wasn't it? So I fancy Chelsea to turn up, put on a show here and get the win, but in the process score at least 2 goals.
16-1 they are to win the Champions League, Chelsea. I think that's a big price. When you consider Liverpool at 10, Real Madrid 8, and Arsenal 3-1. I think they're not far off. They're not far off those levels, Chelsea. At the moment.
I agree. I mean, it's incredible.
If you can become champions of the world, you can become champions of Europe.
Yeah. Well, I mean, people, Maresca he didn't get any credit for winning the World Club Championship. No. I mean, a lot of us looked at him and thought, well, what does it mean? But I'll tell you what, there's a lot of teams who wanted to win that. He won the Conference League, and again, that should be a gimme. And he's only just getting credit now for for drawing with Arsenal with 10 players. I mean, it's crazy, isn't it, how the media looks at certain things? But potentially this.
Can you imagine if that was Jose Mourinho yesterday who did that? It would be like genius levels of Jose Mourinho. Like, what incredible. I mean, I tell you, I know. I look at this. Is probably nothing to do with the shows, but I'm just going to mention as well. I'm looking ahead to the FA Cup as well. Obviously, next week the FA Cup, the big clubs come into it in January. I mean, Chelsea are 9-1 to win the FA Cup. Liverpool are the market favourites, 4-1. No one's changed it. Man City, they're ahead of Man City, Arsenal, Chelsea. Yeah, it's mad. So I think that's I like Chelsea in these kind of markets because they're not being adjusted as quickly as they should do.
Let's get to the league leaders, Arsenal. They're still 5 clear. Arsenal minus 345 to beat Brentford. This is a Wednesday early game, 2:30 Eastern. Brentford are 10-1. Obviously, Nigel, Arsenal frustrated at Stamford Bridge. They'll look back and think, we didn't do ourselves justice there. But when the dust settles on it, a draw against a good Chelsea side, 10-1 or not, it might be a good plus point come May. What have you got for Arsenal, Brentford? Bounce back easy? They're very short. They're minus $3 and more.
That was exactly my lead here. I said that, over the last 3 weeks, Tottenham, Bayern Munich, Chelsea, unbeaten those 3 matches, you're going to be happy.
You take it.
2 wins, convincing wins, and 1 draw, you're going to be happy. So, yes, obviously the only downside is Saliba and Gabriel still missing for them, but obviously they've got Mosquera coming in, and the defensive qualities they show that they can cope with that, especially at home against Brentford. I mean, Brentford have been a side who are incredibly good at home. On the road, 5 losses and just 1 win, which is their big problem. They can't get the same forms they do at home away. But they've done well. They've done really well. And the majority of that is their home. I saw them play against Crystal Palace on the road, and they were absolutely dreadful. And I think that Arsenal will win this fairly comfortably. 9 wins, 1 draw, no losses in all competitions at the Emirates this season. And if you look at this, since it's been a Premier League fixture, it has been a potential, hasn't been as easy for Arsenal as the result as you would think. 4 times they've met at the Emirates, 2 wins and 2 draws. But Brentford have scored in every single one of those matches. And it's whether you think that this defence without Saliba and Gabriel can keep Brentford at bay. Obviously, Thiago is scoring goals, a lot of penalties, but the majority of those goals at home, it has to be said. And it's whether you think they can score. So I think Arsenal will win it. They're minus 345. I think they will win this match. And it's whether, you think that Brentford can make it competitive and score against them. So both teams to score, yes, could be an angle if you think they will. Or do you think that Arsenal will go back to the type and win 2-0? I think more the latter. Looking at it, I think the price is a little bit low, minus 106. I'd want plus money without Saliba and Gabriel for Arsenal to keep a clean sheet. But leaning towards Arsenal to win 2-0, 2-0, 3-0, job done. Move on to the next week.
Mosquera and Nkapie, good enough to keep Brentford out, according to Nigel. What about according to Jack?
Yeah, do you know what? Exactly the same thought process. Mine, win 2-0, but minus 106 weren't tempted enough to make it an official play. I'd want it to be maybe plus 110, something like that. Thiago done really well, hasn't he? 11 goals for the season. That's sensational. Yes, a lot of penalties in there, but he scored them. So fair play on that. Can Arsenal keep him quiet? I think they probably can. With the type of central defender they've got, even in backup there, aggressive. I think they'll need that against him. If they were easily pushed around, I think they might have a problem. But I think they'll keep Brentford quiet. So they are poor on the road, and I think Arsenal will dominate the game, dominate the possession, and manage the game out. And yeah, I've got a 2-0 vibe about this one as well. But the win to nil is my lean because it's minus money, minus 106.
Arsenal minus 200 for the title, still short price favourites. Liverpool, of course, the champions in action on Wednesday as well. This is a 3:15 Eastern kickoff. They are minus $3, a little bit shorter to beat Sunderland at plus 750 now then, Nigel. It took Alexander Isak 378 minutes, but he has now netted in the Premier League for Liverpool. He's plus 105 anytime goal scorer. Sunderland, are we getting on the Isak train again?
I'd rather get on the Gakpo train at plus 170 if I was being honest with you. Gakpo scored. I think the interesting thing for Arne Slot is jobs on the line, and he dropped Mo Salah at the weekend. That shows you what, and I think that's the problem. I think the problem at Liverpool is Mo Salah this season. I don't think he would be happy with all these players coming in. He gave his loyalty, signed a new contract, but he's probably thinking I should have gone. And I think his body language doesn't suggest that he wants to be at Liverpool. Been a great player, but something isn't right at Liverpool Football Club. He's off to the AFCON as well, which probably might help Liverpool. Strange to say, how would they cope without Salah? It's probably a positive for them the way they're playing at the moment. Obviously, Sunderland's doing so well. A massive win against Bournemouth at the weekend. Incredible. That would have taken a huge amount of energy out of them to come back from 2-0 down 3-2. And, it's sort of the adrenaline of that match as well. Then go to Liverpool, where they're going to be a heavy dog. Very different game. They did go to Chelsea and pull off that great win. They'll try to do probably exactly the same that, but their road form, other than that match, hasn't been that good. I would expect Liverpool to come back and win this one, a professional win against West Ham. They sort of steadied the ship a little bit, didn't do anything too extravagant. I think they will be too strong for Sunderland, but I don't think there's many betting angles here. If I was looking for a goal scorer, Gakpo at plus 170 would be my lean, but I do think Liverpool would win it, but really minus 305 or getting involved in high handicaps, I couldn't do that. But I'm still not convinced by Liverpool. But I do think they'll probably win this, but it could be just by the one goal.
Sunderland traded around about 20-1, I think, when they were 2 down at home to Bournemouth. First time that they come back to win a Premier League game when going 2 down. But as Nigel's pointed out, they generally struggle away. Apart from Chelsea, they might have a puncher's chance of doing something, Jack.
Yeah, I think so. It's not an appealing betting heat for me either. I've gone my lean as both teams to score in it because I think this is an absolute free swing for Sunderland. They'll go for a good night out, see if they can bloody the nose of Liverpool like they did with Chelsea, as you said. And again, certainly not convinced enough by Liverpool to be taking them on those heavy, high handicaps. But on a day, if their attacking players can click, then they could quite easily do that. I just think there are mistakes still defensively in them, and they will get a bit of a harrying from an energetic Sunderland side. How long they'll be able to keep it up, given what we've now talked about there, the energy expended in that weekend. But both teams to score for me, a lean at minus 121.
Brighton versus Villa is a Wednesday game, 2:30 here. Brighton are plus 118, Villa plus 220. Brighton up to 5th, Villa a 4th. They've won their last 5. Quick fire from both of you. Nigel, which team would you rather bet to finish in the top 6? They're both plus 150. Exactly the same price.
I think this
$350. Which team?
Villa. Just because I think they're more consistent at home and beat the teams that they expected to beat.
Jack, plus 150 the pair.
I'll go Brighton.
There we go. Head to head. Well, I know that myself and Jack have backed Brighton to finish in the top 6.
Yeah.
It's a difficult one. I mean, Villa have impressed recently, and their underlying metrics haven't been great, but they keep on getting the job done. We have got an official play in this. Jack, you're first up with this one. You've gone to the prop markets for a half-view play.
Yeah, we're going to half unit on this. So it's Maxim de Kuiper for Brighton to score or assist at plus 450. This is not a knee-jerk reaction to the fact he did score at the weekend, but plays a part in my thinking behind it in the fact that he was played advanced. He was. We talk about this a lot when you've got a left back, as he is by trade, playing in a much more advanced position. He's been injured, been on the bench, and then Hertz has brought him in and played him as an attacking left winger, midfielder, and he impressed. He opened the scoring, so he did advance to get into that position to finish that cross off in the first goal for them. But he also provided the most crosses with 4, and he created the most chances with 4. So it shows you that he was very much involved in that high advanced position. So at plus 450, that's a huge price for him to score or assist, and well worth a half a unit play. Any of the derivatives, anyone want to look at his attacking metrics there? And Bet Rivers are best price by a country mile in these markets as well. So have a look through if you want to go for something else that always filters down. But for me, I've gone with the big one really, that to score or assist at plus 450. He's one of the highest priced players because he's been priced up as being a left back. This price probably will shift. I'll be honest, I'd still take plus 275. So if it goes down to that kind of price, I'd still play it. But half a unit for me at plus 450. I kind of fancy goals in the game. I think Brighton have done well. They've said they've performed nice and consistently up to fifth. They're only 3 points off second. And I said the 2 points behind Villa, who are a place above them. But the thing you talked about, the Villa underlying data, and 19th for expected points.
Strange, isn't
in the league this season. It's absolutely crazy. How sustainable is it? We'll have to wait and see. They've kept on going. But I think they started sluggish against Wolves, and they got out of jail a little bit because Wolves are so bad. And I think Brighton, who started very strong against Forest, 9 shots in the opening 20 minutes, I think they can get off to a quick start here. And I'm taking De Kuyper to be part of that. He was man of the match that day as well.
Positional change means that De Kuyper is value. You can take a little bit shorter as well, as Jack has explained. Nigel, thoughts on Brighton Villa this head-to-head, and Brighton unbeaten at home in the Premier League this season? What are your thoughts on this one? Any value anywhere?
Yeah, beat Man City, beat Newcastle, unbeaten in 4 matches. Villa won 5 consecutive matches though, but the most important thing there is 4 of them in Villa Park, which is very, they're very, very strong. But they are Brighton's bogey team. They won 3-0 last season. They've only won once in the last 6 matches in this fixture, Brighton. So Villa tend to do well when they go down to the south coast there. I think it's a real difficult bet to have opinion. I'm Jack's more of the prop man, looking at the player props. I'm more looking at the solid markets with the volumes, and I just think they look very, very hard to beat. So for me, no bet on this match.
No bet for Nigel in the game at the Amex between Brighton and Villa. Let's get to Burnley against Palace here. We've got official plays here. Burnley plus 390, Palace a minus 141. Now, Nigel, we've been talking about this over the last few weeks about fatigue setting in with Palace. They've lost their last 2, but they have gone ahead in both, I think. And we've just been saying, look, the season's going to catch up. The season's going to catch up. I mean, do games catch up with him? Ruben Amorim suggested as much that, Palace were good first 20 minutes, half an hour against United, and then we're just running out of gas in the second half. Is this like an in-play angle for bettors, or do you think they're going to fall further away now? What's your thoughts on that first?
Well, I was there yesterday. I was there, Palace yesterday, and Palace fans are worried that the fact that they are, and it's clear to see, and the second half performance was nowhere near. They were knackered, and they play at such a high intensity level. The players, Mateta was just jogging in the end. And, they were really bad against Strasbourg in midweek, really bad. They were terrible in the first half against Wolves, and they were very lucky to get through. And obviously Wolves conceded late. They could late on in the second half there. And they've got 8 more matches in December. They've got 8 matches in December. That's a game every 4 days for Crystal Palace. This is the small squad. They're the same players playing week in, week out, the same lot. And it's got to take its toll. Henderson was very good in the first half. Obviously, the goalkeeper, but he was kept them in the game a little bit with some good saves. But, I mean, if we went back to the old format of the hot dog, Burnley on the money line would be my hot dog here at plus 390.
Still do it. You still do
it. There's loads of angles I like it. I love Burnley plus 0.75. I like Burnley on the money line, but I do think this will be very, very tight, very dour. I think this could potentially be a 0-0 or 1-0. Then I've gone for my best bet is under 2.5 goals, which is minus 120. I'm going to go for 1 unit on that. Burnley's last 4 matches at home, they've beaten Sunderland. Look at their home record this season. They've beaten Sunderland, they've beaten Leeds at home. The matches they've lost have been Liverpool, Arsenal, Chelsea. The best 3. They haven't played Man City yet. The best 3 of the top 4 in the Premier League. So they only get beat by the better teams. And at home, they give it a go against these kind of sides. I think this is a perfect opportunity to take on this Crystal Palace side. I really, really do. And I think plus 390 is a big price. I think people are looking at Palace and thinking, at the weekend, they were plus 114, or the week before as well, they were plus 114, and they got lucky with those wins. But just seeing what I've seen live, and I've seen what I've seen, in their levels, they're running on empty, and they've got 8 matches. They've got to prioritise some of these matches, and a lot of those matches are away. 5 of those matches are away. The next 3 matches are all away, Palace. They're in the cup competition against Arsenal. They're in against Shelbourne in the European Conference. Big matches, and I think that this could be a time to get against them.
Burnley are now plus 360. Someone's listening in as we're recording this. We've got to get with Burnley somehow, Jack, haven't we? You've got an official play in this as well.
Yeah, let's make it 2 units on under 2.5 goals then. So,
Oh,
yeah, my
If
way
Burnley
is
win 3-0, that'd be our luck.
Future.
Burnley win 3-0, that'd be our luck, wouldn't it?
Yeah, but it's under 2.5 goals. I had to go for it. Yeah, but, all those reasons, and it's great. We've got Nigel. Obviously, go into the games, Palace games, and you get the eye test, and you can see the full pitch. Obviously, you watch it on TV, you do get a feel for it, but to actually sense it there, watch it live is something different. And yeah, I say those players. We've not mentioned Ismail Assar as well. Took off in the first half. He's now been ruled out, I think, until the new year. As far as obviously he's got AFCON, he could be fit for that. He's been sensational for them since he arrived at the football club. And so his miss is big, and you say Mateta is struggling as well.
As well, looked absolutely flagging as well. He was usually just up and down, and he was nothing in the second half.
Yeah, you mentioned it a few weeks ago, like to flag it as this is going to be the team to fade because of the fact that they have got such a small squad, and they're just in the cup competitions, you said Europe and in the Carabao Cup, and obviously going strong in the league and that style of play. It just will catch up, and they'll need some additions in January to try and help them out a little bit. But as you said, 8 games prior to that minimum. So yeah, for me, it has to be under 2.5 goals. As I say, every single Burnley home game so far this season is cashed under 2.5, and I just think Palace are going to struggle going forward, but they still do have that good, strong defensive process, and Burnley do struggle to score goals. So on that basis, yeah, tight, low-scoring game. Under 2.5 goals. I was a little bit surprised that we could get minus 120, so it's a 1-unit play.
Yeah, just referencing Nigel's attendance at Palace games. We both know how he operates. I'm never quite sure how much of the last sort of 10 or 15 minutes that Nigel might actually see. In fact, even after half time, it's usually a question.
I don't know what he's suggesting, Nigel. I don't know what he's suggesting.
That's only if I'm in hospitality.
He's with a but. He's in the Holmesdale end, or whatever it's called, at Crystal Palace. Anyway, it's a 2U. It's a double touch, you might say, with that Palace game.
Ooh, yeah.
You having that one? Hey, oh God, it's a tough crowd, isn't it?
We did that.
Let's get some very quick thoughts on the final games that we've got. Some leans from the boys here. Wolves, Forest, Nigel. First of all here, this is Wednesday, 2:30. Forest are the favourites, plus 120. I mean, look, Wolves, what are we saying here? 13 games in, they haven't won in the Premier League. They went 10 last season and then changed manager. They've changed manager already. Have we seen anything more positive under Rob Edwards? Is there any betting angle for this one? For me, it's steer well clear. Can't have Forest at plus 120.
Absolutely. Just got no bet written all over it for me. I don't think there's really much change. He hasn't scored a goal yet, has he? He hasn't won a match. I don't think they've even scored a goal, Wolves. 7 losses, no wins in the Premier League. Straight losses, no wins in the Premier League. Haven't scored in 4. Forest, obviously, clearly second best against Brighton after what's been a good sort of run for them. Missing Chris Wood, Morgan Gibbs-White was a substitute, and there was some doubt about him on this match. I read the match report that he took a knock. So I look for team news on that when he returns to his former club. But for me, absolutely no bet whatsoever. I looked around. Is this the lowest points? If they don't get another point, would 2 points be the lowest? It must be the lowest at Christmas.
Do you know what? I drove myself mad earlier today trying to work out, trying to Google, the worst start after I couldn't get any info. Come on, internet, help me out.
I was looking for the same. It's
I couldn't find it.
The worst start.
Yeah. Spent 4 hours this morning trying to do it. Anyway, Jack, you have got a lean on this one. Bit of a surprising one for me.
Well, no, I just gone for Forest because at the minute I'd take anyone on Wolves plus money. So it's not a strong one. Forest were better. I think they just started really poorly against Brighton and had some decent chances, a couple of good saves from Verbruggen and that. But I just think I'll take Wolves on at the moment because they just look a real shambles of the side in the Premier League. I think a friend of mine sent me a stat today saying I think they've been bottom at Christmas in 4 of the last 5 seasons. And now I think they're plus 900 to be that this season. Obviously prior to the start of it, mainly because of the newly promoted sides, I guess. But it's a common theme. And I don't think they'll be bottom of the Premier League this time next season either.
No, they'll be very much mid-table champion. They might do a Luton, might go down and down. I'm sure you won't, Wolves fans. Don't at me. Let's get some. Let's get some final thoughts. Last game Thursday, 3 p.m. Manchester United versus West Ham. United Jacker minus 245. You've got a prop lean for us. I can get behind this one a little bit more.
Yeah, I just think we've talked about Man United that we're going to steer clear of them, and that still stands firm after, again, another consistently inconsistent, let's put it that way. But one player who has been pretty strong for them and consistent for most of the time is Bruno Fernandes. So, again, looking at the odds here to score or assist at minus 129, I have gone for that as a tentative lean. I think they probably will beat West Ham. Obviously, Paquetá, that crazy red card for him is going to impact West Ham. A bit of an issue there. But Fernandes, 5 assists in his last 6 for Manchester United. Obviously, a couple at the weekend. And when you look at the prices, Mbomo in the same market is minus 235. Cunha, who may or may not even play in this one, minus 180. There's quite a step then to get to Fernandes, who has been consistent in doing that. He's not been scoring goals this season, but that kind of deeper role, that kind of quarterbackish role, seems to suit him, obviously on set pieces as well. So minus 125 against the West Ham side that are conceding goals still under Nuno. I'll take Bruno Fernandes to be involved one way or another in at least one of them.
United, Nigel, on minus 245 here. No one is getting mugged into backing them at minus money.
I bet they will be popular. I bet they will be popular.
Are they going to be like last leg of parlays? You're going to get a couple of boys online saying, I'm waiting for United at home here.
Yeah. Before we come on to this match, just to show you, you said you spent 4 hours looking for the lowest stats. Well, producer John has spent 4 minutes and just sent me this. The lowest points total ever has been 7 at Christmas, achieved by Sunderland in the 2025.
Not Christmas, after 13 games, John, do it again.
It was looking at Christmas. Nigel. 2000, we mentioned Christmas, and Derby County equalled that 7. Even Southampton got 8, and currently Wolverhampton Wanderers have got 2. So will they be the lowest point scorers at Christmas? I think they probably will. But that was tremendous work by John in 4 minutes compared to your work in 4 hours.
Yeah, I'm going to admit, you're comparing apples with oranges.
Let's go back to Manchester United. Good apples against Granny Smiths compared to bruised cooking apples you are. He's a Granny Smith, nice and fresh. You're a bruised old one kicked down the street. Anyway, West Ham, minus 245. Who on earth can bet Man United at 245? No one can bet at minus 245. Who on earth can have a bet on this game? No one. No bet.
No bet.
No bet. Kick to the props. I mean, what West Ham, I mean, they went there last year, won 3-0, crazy match. Man United are so inconsistent. So I think they were really fortunate to beat Crystal Palace. They ran into Crystal Palace at the right time. They didn't show anything.
Could have been 2 or 3 down, Nigel, first half.
Didn't show nothing great. Anyway, I think that this is if you're taking minus 245 Man United and you win, I think you're going to have a long, hard look at yourself tomorrow morning.
United are minus 245. You're absolutely right. Yeah, win or lose, it's a poor price. West Ham are 6-1 in that one. Nigel, Jack, thanks for your company. Good luck, one and all. We'll keep everyone updated via our X feeds over the course of this midweek slate. Of course, games Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. Thursday, we will be recording our next Betting Weekly Premier League show. That'll be out late Thursday afternoon. Don't forget, we've got a World Cup special as well coming your way. So we're looking at groups and draws and maybe identifying opportunities from a betting standpoint. Nigel, is that the idea for those who want to join us live, of course, from what we're doing? Is it 11? Is it mid?
It's 5 o'clock. It's 5 o'clock in the UK, so it's 12 o'clock stateside. But I think the most important thing about this World Cup draw, and this is, I think, from betting perspective, is actually where the teams are going to be drawn, what part of the world, what part of America, in terms of the weather conditions and in terms of like the support from those nations going to get. And I think that's going to be the intriguing thing that will affect the market. I don't believe that anybody's going to be massively changing the market on the back of the draws, because the draws are so lopsided, so many weak teams. But I think where they are geographically is the key part, and obviously the route through to the final is going to be interesting as well. And anyway, listen, he's just come back with the lowest points total after 13 Premier League games achieved by Sheffield United in the 2020-21 season. They drew their opening match against Wolves and lost to next test, finishing with 23 points overall. No team, but there you go. He's done that. The lowest points after 13 games. Sheffield United took him all of 90 seconds. You took 4 hours.
Listen, let me tell you something about John, because I did him a massive favour last Friday. He can tell you about that off air. And I'm John, after doing you that favour on Friday, I can't believe that you've thrown me under the bus on this show.
It's the joint lowest Wolverhampton after 13 matches. as Newcastle got in 2021-2022, the joint lowest. Well done, John. Do you want to John, you're good at presenting.
John,
come on there next week.
John, you're off my list. You know what I'm talking about. Right, that is your lot. Don't forget, Betting Weekly Live every midweek day, 11 a.m. We've got the World Cup special coming your way on Friday. We'll be back Thursday. Hopefully, we'll be cashing some more tickets for you over the course of the midweek slate. From all of us for now, though, it is goodbye.